So hello and a very good evening everyone. Today is 22nd of 2024 and welcome to my channel Mission APSC, and I am here with a new video on economic release today, which has been released today. Okay, so as you know that earlier we had seen the interim budget which was presented in February, but due to elections, as you know, the Lok Sabha elections were going on, 18th Lok Sabha elections were going on. So after the elections it was much expected that the budget would come out in the monsoon session. So accordingly the monsoon session is officially started from today, and first of all I would like to wish everyone a very happy Shravan Somvar. So this is the first Monday of our you can say our pious month, that is holy month of Shravan, and it is related to Lord Shiva. So as you know that there are some customs which are related, like solar vrats, all these vrats. So this is why this mass, okay, auspicious for us. Okay, so anyways, as you can see here that the economic survey was tabled today, and it was also stated that the occasion of Shravan Somvar of the Shravan month. So the economic survey was released today, and here we are with the highlights of this particular survey. And you know the full budget, and this session will go on till I think 11th of August. So you just check the date. Anyway, it was tabled today, and as you know, it was tabled by our Finance and Corporate Affairs Minister Srimala Nirmala. So we will discuss the main highlights of the economic survey, and the entire economic survey, as you can see, is divided into chapters. Okay, and visit the website and you can see those in details, but I don't recommend you, because I have in fact I have studied the economic survey in a very brief summary, and I have brought this for you, and it is also available in the PIB website. So I have took the data from the PIB website, so you can go, and if you have any doubt you can refer those data from the PIB website. Okay, from the in the particular PIB website, finance ministry, there are different ministries actually. Your finance, under the Ministry of Finance and Corporate Affairs, you can go and you can just you can see this data. Okay, so let's begin with which talks about the economy steady as she grows. Okay, this is the name of the first chapter in the economic survey, and first of all you can see here that this economic survey, which is based on 2023-24 data. Okay, like the budget is presented for 2024-25, but the economic survey is based on the data which was presented that is of the previous financial year. So this economic survey projects a real GDP growth. So this time the 2023-24 projects a real GDP 5 to 7%. So with all the risk evenly balanced. So this is, you see now, I would like to quote one thing here, that those data which are given in red, okay, red color, you can just note it down, that you can note it down points. Okay, so as per the economic survey 2023-24, the real GDP growth rate is expected to be between 6.5 to 7% this time. Next, if you see, India's real grew by 8.2% in the financial year 24. So as you can see, the real GDP has grown at present, that it has exceeded the 8% mark in 3 out of 4 quarters of financial year 24. The good news. So that's a very good news for us. If this maintain this, in fact 8% mark, we are the fastest growing economy, real GDP, in terms of real GDP, and we have to maintain this if we want to achieve the 3 trillion mark by 2030. Okay, so and become a superpower by 2030, or you can say an economic superpower by 2030. So that's how the things go. Okay, so next you see here that the gross value added on the supply side, like we have demand side and supply side in economics. On the supply side, if you see that the gross value added, which is known as GVA, GVA, this has grown by 7.2%. So you can write that on the supply side, GVA has grown by 7.2% in this particular financial year, if you see, and the base year prices have been taken as 2011-12. Okay, and as you know, this base year prices will be changed afterwards. As you know, the WPI index has been shifted now. So since this has been calculated for 2023-24 financial year, so that is why it has been taken at 2011-12. But if you see next year, in the next economic survey, we will see in the next year that this will change. Okay. Now one more thing you have to note, that the net taxes at constant prices grew by 19.1% in this particular financial year. Next data which you have to quote is the retail inflation. So as you know, that is inflation has different is the retail. So one of them is the retail inflation. So this retail inflation has reduced from 6.7%, and that is very good. So retail inflation, as part of we have the FRBM Act also. Read about FRBM Act 2003, which states about the inflation and fiscal deficit, that a fiscal deficit which has to be around 4 plus minus 2%. Okay, so 4 plus minus 2, that means either it can be 2, it has to be fiscal deficit has to be 2%, or it can be maximum 6%. 4 plus 6, 4 plus 2. Okay, so 4 minus 2 means 2% lower limit, and stood at is 6%. So retail the fiscal deficit has to be between this. Okay, next you can see here about the current account deficit. Okay, in the current account deficit you see that this time the value is at 0.7% of. That's also a very you can note this down. Okay, GVA has 2% by 7.2%, and your retail inflation 6.7 from 6.7% to 5.4%, and the current account deficit has stood at 0.7%. See that there is an improvement, as there is an improvement from the deficit of 2%. Earlier the deficit was at 2% in the financial year 2023, and presently the current account deficit is at 0.7%. So you can see here there is a sharp decrease of 1.3%, right, in this particular financial year 24 till now, at present, I mean up to July. Okay. Next you can see here that the Indian economy has recovered and expanded in an orderly fashion post-pandemic. That means after the pandemic, the Indian economy most of the economies are still recovering, and the Indian economy, if you see, we have already maintained before the pandemic. We also maintained a 8% mark, which again fell down to 6%, you can say, and after that we again recovered at 8.2%. So that's a very good thing, that the real GDP has again come up to 8.2% at present. So this is a significant, you can say, change, or you can say remarkable recovery for us. The real GDP in financial year 24 was 20% higher than its level in financial year 20. So this shows that we have recovered very fast. Now if you see about the direct taxes, the amount of taxes which if there is a tax of 100%, suppose 100 rupees, you can say that means 55 rupees comes from the direct taxes as per the economic survey, and the remaining 45% includes the indirect taxes, that means GST and all, those comes from the indirect taxes. So you can say 55% of the direct taxes this year in the financial year 2023-24 has come from the direct taxes, and 45% of the remaining taxes have come from the indirect route. Okay. Next, about the food grains, if you see, they have mentioned that around 81.4 people have got 81.4 crore people have been able to procure food grains. And moreover, you can see there are programs like National Food Security Act 2013. Then we have the Prime Minister's Garib Kalyan Yojana. So this has also been extended up to 2028. Okay, so these are some remarkable, you can say, some positive steps where government has able to provide free food grains to the poor people. Okay, so this has benefited around 81.4 people as per the economic survey 23-24. Next, we'll move to the next chapter, which deals with the monetary management and financial intermediation. So this is about the stability is the watchword. So we'll talk about the monetary management, how the financial intermediation, or the all the provisions are there in this. Okay, so you see here, Indian banking and financial sectors have displayed a stellar performance in this particular fiscal year, and RBI maintained a steady policy rate. You can see RBI maintains different policies, like repo rates, then we have the banking rate and all, so reverse repo rate and all. Okay, so this RBI has maintained a steady policy rate this year, with the overall inflation under control. As you can see here, we have already talked about the inflation earlier, that this time the retail inflation has come down to 5.4% from 6.7%. So this is very obvious, since RBI has maintained a steady policy rate, and overall we can see that the retail inflation has come under control this time, okay, within the 5 to 6%. So you can say. Then if you talk about the Monetary Policy Committee MPC, which is a body of the RBI Monetary Policy Committee, they have maintained status quo on the policy of repo rate at 6.5%. That means they have maintained a status quo. That is, they have fixed the repo rate at 6.5% in this particular year, and inflation made to gradually align with its target while supporting growth. That means they have adopted a sustainable path. They have not increased the repo rate. At the same time, they have also not decreased it. They have maintained it at, the status quo has been maintained at 6.5%. That shows that we are focusing in the growth as well as in the recovery, which was due to the COVID pandemic. Okay, so both the things have been balanced with a steady repo rate by the RBI. Okay, so next, if you see the credit dispersal by the scheduled commercial banks, which are SCBs, this has stood at 164.3 lakh crores. So as you see, the credit dispersal, that means credit dispersal means how much loans and all they have given. So the scheduled commercial banks have dispersed a credit or loan which amounts to 164.3 lakh crores, and that's a very huge figure if you see here. That means the banks are also gaining, they are also able to earn interest, and that is why you can say they are giving more loans. So credit dispersal has increased, so which we can see that in terms of percentage it's 20.2%. So by the end of March 2024, we can see that the scheduled commercial banks from the time of 1st April 2023 to 31st March 2024, they have given around 164.3 lakh crores of credit or loans. That shows the power of this, the lending power of those scheduled commercial banks. Next, if you see talk about the broad money. Okay, so you might have learned about the different types of money in macroeconomics, like narrow money, broad money and all. Okay, M1, M2, M3, M4 and all. So now talking about the broad money here. So there has been a growth in the broad money. So it's excluding the impact of the merger of, now see, HDFC Bank, there was a merger in the HDFC Bank. Okay, so HDFC was merged with HDFC Bank. So accordingly, what happened? The broad money, if you see, there is also increment in the broad money, and the increment amounts to around 11.2%. Okay, so that's a very huge, you can say, that means these mergers are good. Sometimes you can give this as an example in your answers, that due to the current merger of HDFC with HDFC Bank, there was a increment in the it's called year-over-year. So year-over-year, that percentage growth was at 11.2% in the broad money. Okay, and compared to, if you see, the broad money was at 9.9% a year ago. It's talking about 2023 up to 31st March, and this data is about from 1st April to, you can say, 22nd March, 1st April 2023 to 22nd March 2024. That means you understood, I think, that the broad money has increased, and it is because of the impact of the merger of HDFC with the HDFC Bank. Next, if you see here, we have the double-digit and broad-based growth in bank credit, gross and net non-performing asset, that is the NPAs. So we have also been able to recover, increase our bank credit, increase the gross and net NPAs. So NPAs have also been recovered successfully. So this is why you can say there is a growth in the credit sector. The credit growth remains robust, mainly driven by the lending to serve. Now this credit growth, as you can see, we have earlier I have talked about that this time the scheduled commercial banks have given a credit of 164.3 lakh crores, and you see most of this credit goes to the services sector, because services sector is the largest contributor at present. Earlier, if you see, the agriculture sector was contributing more, but the times have changed. Now the services sector contributes more compared to the agriculture sector. So most of the loans, the credit goes to the services sector as well as to the personal loans. And if you talk about agriculture and allied activities, they have also witnessed double-digit growth in the credit during financial year 24. Industrial credit growth was at 8.5% compared to 5.2% a year ago. So industrial credit growth, that means the credit which is given to the industry. The industries have also increased their, you can say the banks have also increased their credit growth, or you can say they have also increased their lending to the industries, because earlier if you see in 2022-23 it was 5.2%, and the banks have this time if you see the banks have given more credit to the industrial sector, which was at 8.5%. Now the IBCs have recognized an effective solution for the twin balance sheet problem. Okay, so twin balance sheet problem is a very you can say we have issues which you can say one of the worst issues which the banks face. So in the last 8 years if you see there were so many issues of twin balance sheet problems. Okay, now the IBC, the banking corporation, have also found an effective solution for that. Okay, next they are talking about the primary capital markets. So if you talk about the primary capital markets, the capital formation during this particular financial year was at 10.9 lakh crore. So that has also increased. You can quote these datas. Okay, the primary, you can write the first line as well, like primary capital market has facilitated capital formation of 10.9 lakh crore in the financial year 2024. This means that the primary capital markets, which are like you can say those markets which are related to capital. Okay, so they have facilitated more, you can say, capital which amounts to 10.9 lakh crore, and this shows that there is growth in our economy. If you talk about the market capitalization of the Indian stock market, so if you talk about the this is the capital market, this is the stock market. Okay, so if you talk about the capital markets, are those markets from which you can take the amount to build capitals. Okay, in short, simple term I'm telling you. And the stock markets are those where you can buy stocks. Okay, in the form of, you can not, it's not used for raising loans for capital making. Okay, suppose if I want to build a factory, I can take money from the capital market as an investment. Okay, but suppose if you have you want to invest in a share, then you have to put your market in the share market, and afterwards if the share rises, you can take the balance amount, that is the difference in the amount which has risen, and you can put your money back, or you can put more money. So that is how the capital market is, and this is the this is the share market, and this is the capital market. Okay, so capital, for the capital investment it is used. And suppose for example if a company wants to put their market in the money in the capital market, they can put, because other company who needs the loan will take the money from the capital market. This is how both the markets work. So if you talk about the share market here, the Indian stock market has seen remarkable surge with the market capitalization to the GDP ratio. If you see, note this is important point, that the market capitalization to the GDP ratio, if you see about other countries, I don't know about other countries, but about our country, if you talk from the economic from the economic survey point of view, then the this ratio, that is market capitalization to GDP ratio, for this India is 5th largest in the world. Okay, next you can talk about digital financial inclusion. So one of the reasons we can see that the economy has progressed is because of the digital financial inclusions. Next, if you talk about the Indian microfinance sector, this has also been the 2nd largest in the world. If you see the you have to quote this data, like the market capitalization to the GDP ratio for India makes it the 5th largest in the world. For the microfinance sector, you can write that India is the 2nd largest in the world after China. Okay, in fact there are some schemes in Assam also for uplifting those who have suffered from corona and their business have flopped. So we have the Assam Microfinance Incentivization and Revitalization Scheme 2021, where you can see there are 3 tiers: tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 categories of borrowers. So those, now as you can see in the current budget, the tier 3, those from the tier 3 they are being helped. So tier 3 are those people whose loan amounts have turned into NPAs. That means their loan amount has exceeded a timeline of grace, you can say, or grace period of 90 days. If this happens, then the loan turns into an NPA. So these are some of the you can write about the government schemes which have also helped our country India in the long run to become the 2nd largest in the world after China. Okay, then let's talk about the 3rd chapter, which deals with prices and inflation. So if you talk about the price and inflation, we have already seen the 1st chapter that it has been under control. And if you see the minimum retail inflation, it is maintained at 5.4%, and it has been the lowest since the pandemic. Note it down. then you can see that as of August 2023, the price of the domestic LPG cylinders have been reduced by rupees 200 per cylinder across all the markets in India. Third point, you can quote about the petrol and diesel prices have been lowered by rupees 2 per liter. Next, you can write about the core inflation services. Core inflation services have eased to 9-year low in financial year 2024. Okay, core inflation services have, you can say, inflation have reduced. Next, if you talk about the agriculture sector, we have seen that food inflation has increased. Okay, if you talk about all the inflations, core service inflation, or you can say about the petrol and diesel prices, LPG subsidies and all, this has decreased. I mean, the prices decreased. But if you talk about the food inflation, we can see that the food inflation has grown up. And as per the economic survey, they have said that due to extreme weather events, depleted reservoirs and crop damage, so most of the farm outputs and food prices have been impacted. Okay, and if you see the inflation stands in the financial year 2023-24, it was around 6.6%, and in this quarter of the financial year 2024, it has increased to 7.5%. That means there is an increase of, you can just subtract it. Okay, so it's around 0.9% increment in the food prices. Why? And the reason is because of the extreme weather events, depleted reservoirs and crop damages. Next, if you see here, 29 states and union territories recorded the inflation below 6%. Okay. However, you have to note this one thing, that there are not all states in India have a very high inflation rate. Most of the states, if you see here, 29 states and the union territories, all the union territories, they have successfully recorded inflation between 6%. So they have kept the inflation, state inflation, between 6%. Okay, and that's a positive thing. Now, if you talk about the RBI's projection about the inflation, they have projected that in the inflation, which is right now at food inflation is about 6.6%, and the normal inflation which you are talking about is about 6%. Okay, average inflation. So RBI has predicted that by the end in the year financial year 2025-26, the inflation will fall to 4.5. Okay, and in the year financial year 2026-27, the inflation will reduce to 4.1%, and that's also a positive thing. The IMF, if you talk, this is the RBI's projection. If you talk about the International Monetary Fund, IMF, they have projected that in the particular year 2024, the inflation in India will be at 4.6%, and in 2025-26, it will be at 4.2%. Okay, so you have to write this data. Next, if we go to the external sector stability amid chapter 4. This is in the chapter 4. And you can see that India's rank in the World Bank's Logistic Performance Index, if you see in 2023, it has improved. So earlier, if you see, it was around it was at 44 in 2018, and in the 2023 Logistic Performance Index, if you see, India's rank is at 38 out of the 139 countries. This is an important point. You have to write it down. In the external sector, the World Bank's Logistic Performance Index shows that India's rank has significantly improved by 6 places. Okay, if you see the global exports of goods, this have also improved for India. If you see the total average global export in India into financial year 2024-25 is at present at 1.8%, and if you see compared to the global export, global export is at an average of 1.7%. For India, it's 1.8%. So if you compare the average global export and that of India, you can say that India has a much you can say a difference of 0.1%. That is, since India is at 1.8%, the global export is at 1.8% of the total. That means if there are, like, you can say 100 goods which are exported globally by all the countries, among them 1.8 has to be from India. It shows that. Okay, and if you see earlier in 2016 financial year 16 to 20, it was at 1.7%. So this may be a slight change, 0.8%, but still 0.1 difference of 0.1% is also very big. Global to the total global. If you talk about the total global exports in the global market. Okay. Next, India's export services. This is, you have to quote this data. Now, if you talk about the service exports, it has grown by 4.9% to US dollar 341 billion in this particular financial year, and most of this comes from the IT and the software services and other business services. Okay. Now, as you know, India is the top remittance recipient country globally. We have seen this. We have achieved the milestone of 120 billion in 2023. Okay, so top remittance country means, that means suppose if a if there are Indians working in a country, so different countries, okay, this is India, this is a beautiful India, so they will keep on sending money, right, to their near and dear ones. So this money which comes to India is, you can say in simple term, it's known as the remittance. Okay, so if you see in 2023, our top we were a country with the topmost we were the topmost recipient in terms of remittance globally. Okay, so last year 2023 we had received around 120 billion dollars of remittances from our countrymen outside, working outside. Okay, next, India's external debt has also been sustainable over the years. The external debt at present, external debt to GDP ratio stands at 18.7%. That means just if you just external debt, I can explain you this thing. This is the ratio, external debt is to GDP. That means you can say this is the ratio between external debt divided by GDP. So this is at 18.7% of as of March 2024. This shows that external debt, if the GDP is of, suppose just assume this is 100 rupees, external debt, that is the debt, that is which we call udhari debt, okay, towards other countries or somewhere, if we have like we have to return something to the IMF, maybe to the World Bank loans and all. So this external debt stands at 18.7 rupees. So if our GDP we are earning 100 rupees, our udhari or the balance we have, which we are maintaining with the outside world, or which we have to return, is only 18.7%, and that is also a very good thing for a country like us. Okay, because we are a very big country with the largest population at present. Next, in the chapter 5, we have the medium term outlook, a growth strategy for New India. Here we talk about they have talked about the key areas of the policy focus in the short to medium term, like job and skill creation, tapping full potential of the agricultural sector, addressing MSME bottlenecks, that is MSME sector, there are some issues, bottlenecks means there are issues, so we have to address those things. We have to maintain the green transition, because slowly we are going towards the fulfillment of our Panchamrit goals. Next, we have to defy some dealings with the Chinese conundrum, because China, we cannot completely like you can stop all the exports and all. Okay, we have to maintain this conundrum. So this is a dilemma for us, because we have to maintain our like domestic market, as well as we have to like you can say we are dependent on them for some raw materials until and unless we make it in our own place. So we have to maintain this balance. Anyways, depending the corporate bond market, tackling inequality, improving our young population's quality of health. So these are some key sectors or areas of focus. Now the Amrit Kal's growth strategy is based on the 6 key areas, like we have to boost the private investment, we have to go for expansion of the MSMEs, we have to use agriculture as a growth engine, we have to finance green transition, that is shift towards green energy. Then we have to bridge the education employment gap, because most of the people are educated but they are not employed. Okay, and we have to build a capacity of the states. For example, if you see here, Indian economy, for Indian economy to grow at 7% plus, okay, we have to maintain this 7% plus or 8% plus. So if you have to maintain this thing, then the tripartite compact agreement has to be, or you can say there has to be cooperation between the union government, state government, and the private sectors. Okay, next, in the next chapter, that is chapter 6, we'll talk about the climate change and energy transition, dealing with the trade-offs. If you see, there was a report by the International Finance Corporation which has recognized that India's efforts to achieve committed climate action, highlighting that the country in the line with the 2 degrees centigrade warming. That's a very you can say this is a very important data for us. Okay, if you talk about climate change, most of the people they are like blaming India or the third world countries also, at the same time or the developing countries as well, that we are committing more to like production of carbon. So but the International Finance Corporation has recently highlighted it, out of all the developed countries of the G20 nations, India is the only country which has maintained the 2 degrees centigrade criteria, which was agreed upon in the Paris Agreement. Okay. Next, if you talk about India, India has made progresses on the climate action in terms of an increase in the renewable energy capacity. If you see, as of 31st May 2024, the share of the non-fossil sources in the installed electricity generation has reached 45.4%. It's a very big thing for us, because we have like made the commitments and we are delivering the commitments. So this is an important point, for you can note it down. Like as per the economic survey, as of 31st May 2024, the share of non-fossil fuels to the installed electricity capacity generation has reached 45%. That means we are less dependent on fossil fuels at present. We are like shifting to hydrogen, green energy, solar energy, nuclear energy and all, okay, hydropower, etc. Further, the country has reduced the emission intensity of its GDP from 2005 levels by 33% in 2019. Now, if you talk about India's GDP between 2015 and 2019, if you talk specifically about the compound annual growth rate, so if you talk about the GDP in terms of CAGR, it is at 7%. So what was expected, the emissions has to be at like 7% or maybe more than 7%. But if you see, this is the interesting point, that even though our CAGR for CAGR, that is the growth in line in term with the GDP, is at 7%, but the you can say the CAGR for like you can say emissions is at 4%. That means what is expected in terms of CAGR, that if your GDP is rising, then your emission will also rise, okay, in terms of GAPI, CAGR. So but what is happening here, that our GDP is rising but the emissions are actually becoming less. This shows that India has successfully like we are moving towards the like Panchamrit goals and the green commitments which we have made even in the Paris climate agreement, or maybe in the as part of revised INDCs, which are also known as Panchamrit goals. Okay. Now India has launched a clean coal initiative. You can now see, we talk about the like solar energy and all, but sometimes we also have to write about the coal initiatives and all. Okay, so solar energy, PM Kusum scheme, PM Suryoday scheme, and all these schemes are there. But there are some other schemes also which we usually don't talk, like the coal gasification mission is also there, national hydrogen mission is also there. We usually talk about that, but the coal gasification mission is also important, because this is also helped us to take, because we cannot like completely like finish all the coal and all, so and start all at once. We cannot shift to the hydrogen based economy or the solar based economy immediately. There is a slow transition. At the same time, we have to mention that we have to remember that whatever coal we are using, it should be clean coal. So this clean coals initiative is also important. So at some one point of time, you are using the renewable energy, okay. At the same time, the non-renewable energy sources which we are using, like coal, has also has to be addressed as well, because you cannot like shift all of a sudden to renewable energy. So at the same time, you have to ensure that this clean coal energy, I mean the clean coal initiative, initiatives like this help you in that means help you in maintaining a sustainable balance. That means you are using the non-renewable sources, but at the same time you are ensuring that these sources are also as clean as possible. So for that, the coal gasification mission is there for us. So the total energy savings, you can see of the total oil, it is about 51 million tons of oil has been used less, and we are able to save around, you can say, 1,94,000 crores of rupees. Okay, and this has also helped in reducing the carbon emissions to 306 million tons. So this is a very important data for you. Next, if you talk about the expanding renewable energy and clean fuels with increasing demand for land and water, so it's talking about the like for the renewable energy and the clean fuels, as per the demand for land and water, we have to expand the renewable energy and clean fuels accordingly. Okay, because whenever installing a solar panel or a like solar park and all, so and also you are like going for refining and all for the cleaner fuels, so there is a demand, always there is a demand for land and water, so you have to expand those accordingly. Next, they are talking about the sovereign green bonds. So as you see, as per the data given here, that between January to February 2023, between January February 2023 to October December 2023, the amount of sovereign green bond has increased from 16,000 crores to 20,000 crores. This also shows that the number of you can say the number of green bonds issued has also risen, and the people are becoming more and more climate sensitive here. Okay. Next, if you talk about the 7th chapter, which talks about the social sector. benefiting that empower. I'll tell you the important data here. See, nominal GDP has grown at CAGR of 9.5%. You have to quote this data. Next, Gini coefficient. You know this, right? So, like we study in the economics about inequality, there we get this term Gini coefficient. So, this Gini coefficient for rural sector has declined from. You have to write this data, okay? Because you will get good marks in economics if you write these types of data. So, as per the recent economic survey 2023-24. We have seen that the inequality has decreased in India because in the rural sector it has decreased the Gini coefficient has decreased from 0.283 to 0.266, and for the urban sector this has decreased from 0.363 to 0.314. In case of Ayushman Bharat cards, if you see now more than 34.7 people have availed these cards. 34.7 crore people have availed the Ayushman Bharat cards, and this scheme has covered around 7.37 crore hospitals. Next, you talk about the if you talk about the Ayushman Bharat health insurance scheme, here 22 mental disorders have been covered this time. Okay, so this is also important because earlier there were obviously there are many different physical disorders, but this time they have also covered 22 mental disorders under the Ayushman Bharat Jan Arogya Yojana. Next, if you talk about the nutrition schemes like Poshan Bhi Padhai Bhi, okay, it talks about the early childhood education, or you can say early childhood care education (ECC), which is a important component of the Anganwadi centers. Okay, so they have started the scheme so that more and more children are given nutritional, value-based food, as well as their education also keeps on going. Next, we have another scheme which is the Vidyanjali initiative. So this initiative is if you see, this initiative is helping helping the GER in case of the girl child. Okay, and more than 1.44 crore students have availed this scheme. Next, if you talk about the gross enrollment rate in the higher education, you can see that the underprivileged sections such as ST, SC and OBCs have also seen faster growth, and also the female enrollment rate across all these sections, that is ST, SC and OBC, have also increased 31.6% increment since financial year 15-16. Next, if you talk about the R&D sector, nearly 1 lakh patents have been granted in the financial year 2024. See the patents, and if you see the patents in case of 2020, it was only 25,000. That means you can say 4 times we have increased. The research and development has increased significantly in India, because you can see the patents which we got in financial year 2020 was only 25,000. It has increased fourfold, that is 4 times, and has increased to now 1 lakh patents have been granted in 2024. Next, if you talk about the PM Awas Gramin Yojana, so around 2.63 crore houses were constructed for the poor in the last 9 years, and additionally, I think you know this also, that around 3 crore more houses will be built, and this was decided in the interim budget actually, and is a continuous. This is not in the interim budget, new schemes cannot be declared, but the schemes which are continuing can be, they can be changed, or they can be removed, or they can be changed. Okay, but new schemes cannot be declared. Now the PM Awas Yojana, Gramin Yojana, was a very old scheme. Since around 2008, it came into being in around 2018. So now this time, you can see that as of the last 9 years, 2.63 crore houses have been built, but in the last 9 years, and in the upcoming next 5 years. Okay, you have to remember this, from financial year 2024, 25 to 24 to 28, you can say 29-30, around 5 crore more houses will be built, and Assam will also get a significant amount of houses under this, and we have also the Mukhyamantri Awas Yojana. Next, if you see about the Gram Sadak Yojana, about the rail infrastructure and road infrastructure, around 15.14 lakh kilometer road have been completed since 2014-15 to 10 July 2024. So you can quote this data, that under Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, 15.14 lakh kilometer roads have been completed in the last 10 years. Next, if you go about the talk about the employment and the skill development sector, So in the Indian labor market, we have seen a significant improvement in the last 6 years, and the unemployment rate in the labor market is declined from 3.2%. Now, if you talk about the quarterly urban employment rate for the people who are aged between 15 years and above, this has also declined or decreased to 6.7%. Okay, as compared to 6.8% in the previous quarter. So in the current quarter, you can see that the urban unemployment rate has also declined. In the periodic labor force survey, if you see, more than 45% of the total workforce is employed in agriculture. You have to quote this data. Okay, no need to quote. You can quote this data, but this is more important. In the periodic labor force survey, 45% of the there are for more than 45% of the total workforce, you can say, who are employed in agriculture. 11.4% people are employed in manufacturing sector. 28.29% people are employed in services sector, and 13.3% 13% people are employed in construction sector. So this is an important data. Okay. Now, if you see about this same PLFS, that is periodic labor force survey data, the youth who are between the age of 15 to 29 years, their unemployment rate has declined from 17.8% in 2017-18 to 10% in 2022-23. Okay, so earlier, that means in 2017-18, the unemployment rate of the youth between the age of 15 to 29 was around 17.8% and has declined to 10% as of 22-23. Now next, they have talked about the EPFO payroll. That has also increased. That means since the EPFO payroll has increased, that shows that more people are now coming into the you can say labor sectors, or you can say that they are getting employed. From the gender perspective, if you talk about the female periodic labor force, if you see from the data, PLFS data, we have a particular you can say dimension which is known as the female labor force participation rate, and this we see that this time in the last 6 years, if you compare, this has also increased. Okay, that shows that we are fulfilling the goal of gender equality. Okay, so SDG, you know, sustainable development goal, there we have like goal number 5, right? Next, if you talk about the ASI data 21-22, employment level has also increased since the pre-pandemic level, the post-pandemic level. Next, we are talking about the wages per worker in the rail sector. This has also grown to 6.9%. Now, next, number of factories employing more than 100 workers. That means those factories who has more than 100 workers, they have also increased. This shows that more and more people are getting employed in the factories as well. So employment has increased. Next, if you talk about the employment has been rising in the bigger factories as well, and net payroll additions to the EPFO has also doubled from 61.1 lakh in financial year 19 to 130. So see 131 point. So if you don't remember the exact figure, just write that around 60. You can write the net payroll as per the EPFO data has. We have seen that in the economic survey 23-24, that as per the EPFO data, the net payroll additions have doubled from 61 lakh to around 130 lakh in financial year 24. Okay, like this you can just quote the data. This is also important. Next, if you see manufacturing sector, this point is important. See, manufacturing sector is less exposed to AI, as industrial robots are neither as nimble nor as effective as human labor. That means you can clearly use this data that AI cannot fully, or industrial robots cannot fully substitute a human labor. Okay, so manufacturing sector is less exposed to the AI, because we have seen that in India human labor is better, and you can say we also need human labor because this will provide more employment and household, you can say the households will improve. But if we use machines, that will those industrial robots may not be such reliable, as well as they are not cost effective. They will cost you more. Okay, so human labor is usually cheap, and also it provides employment to the people. About the gig sector, if you talk about gig sectors like Zomato and all, or work from home, so these gig tech sectors, if you see, they are expected to expand to 2.35 crore by 29-30. This is also an important data from the gig workers perspective. Okay, so it is expected that the number of gig workers or gig force is expected to rise by 2.35 crore by 29-30, financial year 29-30. Next, if you talk about the if you talk about the job growth, so it is seen that most of the job growth has been in the non-farm sector, and you can say that the average, if you see the increment in the job growth annually, we can see that there is an increment of 78.5 lakh jobs annually. Next, compared to 2022, if you see like 50.7 crore persons would not care for job, right? But this has changed now. Next, if you talk about direct public investment equivalent to 2% of the GDP has the potential to generate 11 million jobs. That is why the FDIs and all, or public investments, are very important, because it will generate more jobs to the people, and nearly 70% of this jobs will be for the women. So direct public investment at present is around 2% of the GDP, and if you see that if there are direct public investments in the sectors, then that helps us to create more companies and more industries, and this will help in generating jobs, and the jobs among them, if you see from the data, 70% of the jobs are going to women, and the position of women will keep on improving. Okay. Next, if you talk about the agriculture in chapter 9 here, agriculture and food management. In the agriculture and allied sectors, if you see, the average annual growth rate is at 4.18% of the constant prices over the last 5 years. As of 31st January 2024, total credit which has been given to the agriculture sector has been around 22.84 lakhs. Let me see, you have to understand this point, that total credit given to the agriculture sector by different banks, like we have the NABARD, right? We have the, if you talk about external sector borrowings, we have the World Bank, right? So all this who contribute, or you can say those provide credit to the society, to the farmers in general. So under different schemes, you have like the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. Okay, we have some schemes like Fasal Bima Yojana, then Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, and all soil health card, and all the schemes which are related to agriculture. So for all those loans which are being provided by the government, the total credit, if you see, as of 31st January 2024, has been at 22.84 lakh crore, and it's a very huge number. If you talk about the Kisan credit card, we can see that as of 31st January 2024, banks have issued 7.5 crore Kisan credit cards with a limit of 9.4 lakh crores. This is also an important data for KCC. Okay, next, if you talk about the per drop more crop, that is related to irrigation, micro irrigation. So you see an area of 90 lakh hectare has been covered under this from 2015-16 to 2023-24. This also shows that there is an increment in the land which has been covered under the micro irrigation. And if you talk about agricultural research, we can see that it is estimated for every rupee invested in agricultural research, including education, there is a payoff of 13.85 rupees. So this clearly shows that if you invest 1 rupees in agriculture, then the profit you are getting is rupees 13.85. So that is why we should invest more in the agriculture sector as per the economic survey. Next, if you see chapter 10, which is related to industry, small and medium industries, economic growth of 8.2%. as you can see, we already told about this. And if you see, this industrial growth has contributed at a rate of 9.5%. Next, accelerated coal production, if you see, this has in fact, if you see in the last 5 years, this has helped in reducing import dependence. Now since the coal is being produced in India, so we are depending more on the domestic sectors rather than importing. So this has also helped us to save our foreign exchanges. Next, if you talk about the pharmaceutical market, so we are the world's third largest pharmaceutical by volume, remember this, and our pharmaceutical market is valued at 50 billion US dollars. This is a very important point. Talking about the clothing sector, India is the world's second largest clothing manufacturer and one of the top 5 exporting nations in terms of clothing. Okay, this is also important. From the electronics sector, if you see accounts, we have estimated 3.7% of the global market share as of financial year 2022. You can say that in the pharmaceutical sector we are third largest by volume. In the clothes sector we are second largest by in terms of manufacturing, and one of the top 5 largest in terms of exporting. In terms of electronic sector, you can see we also have around 3.7% of the total global market share. For the production linked incentive schemes, which are attracting more than 1.28 lakh crore investments as of May 2024. So this is also important scheme. If you have to write something about the PLI schemes, you can say that as of May 2024, as per the economic survey of 23-24, we can say that the PLI schemes have attracted more than 1.28 lakh investments. Sorry, 1.2 lakh crore investments as of May 2024. If you talk about the industries, then industries must take lead in incentivizing R&D and innovation for improving skills of the workforce, and thus forging an active collaboration with the academia. That means for the R&D sector, if you talk about the industry R&D, industrial R&D, research and development and innovation, then it is expected that we have to collaborate more with the academic institutions so that they can help us to generate better skills for the workforce. Okay. Next, if you go to the chapter 11, which are related to services, you can see that the GVA has now reached, for the services sector, the GVA has reached to the level prior to the pandemic. That means the prior to the pandemic, the GVA, that is contribution from the service sector in the form of GVA, was at around 55%. So, and this during the pandemic time, this had decreased to around 42%. But now again in the financial year 2023-24, this has GVA from the services sector is increased and has got the level where it was before the pandemic. Okay. Next, if you talk about the global exports in the services sector, if you see, we constitute 4.4% of the world's commercial service exports as of 2022. This is also an important data. GVA contribution 55%, remember this, from the services sector. Next, digitally delivered services, if you see, it has increased to 6%, which was earlier 4.4% in 2019. In the aviation sector, if you see, our sector has risen from 15%. Okay. Now has raised with actually 15% year-of-year increase. So as of financial year 2024, you can say compared to the previous fiscal year, the aviation sector has grown by 15%. In terms of air cargo, it has increased by you can say by 7%. Or in terms of number, if you see, you can write the air cargo. That means the cargo which is used, which is sent by air. Okay, this has increased by 7%, or you can say it has increased by 33.7 lakh tons in this financial year. Next, if you see the important data here, I'll just go to the important data. Rest you can pause the video and note it down. If you talk about the e-commerce industry, you can see that it is expected to cross 350 billion US dollars by 2030. This is important for the e-commerce point of view. Tele density is also increased. Okay, as of March 2014, the tele density was 75.2% in India. Tele density means the number of telephones per 100 population. So earlier in 2014, March 2014, it was 75.2%, and now it has grown to 85.7%, or you can say 86% as of March 2024. Internet density has also penetrated since the prices of the internet packages have been were down sometimes. Okay, like 2 to 3 years ahead. But again, the prices have risen. But anyways, if you see, the internet penetration has been more and has increased to 68.2% as of March 2024. So if you talk about the optical fiber cable, they have also increased. So as of present, you can say around 2 lakh gram panchayats have been covered by optical fiber cable under the BharatNet phase 1 and 2. This is an important point, note it down. Okay. Next, let's go to the chapter 12, which relates with infrastructure. If you talk about infrastructure, national highway construction is increased nearly 3 times from 11.7 km per day in 2014 financial year 2014 to 34 km per day. That means, this is an important point, just note it down, that the number of national highways, okay, which have been increased. So increase in the sense that suppose in one day in 2000, if you talk about the financial year 2014-15, in one day 11.7 km of national highway used to be constructed at an average, and this has increased to 34 km per day as of this financial year. So we can see that there is a huge difference from 11.7% to 34 km per day. Okay, so this is New India. Next, if you talk about the Vande metro train set, like the Vande Bharat Express, we have the Vande metro train set coaches. So this will be introduced in this financial year. So kindly note it down. This is an important point. Just like we had the Vande Bharat, which traveled, these were not metros. Okay, Vande Bharat used to travel like on the ground, but below the ground, if you see the metros, so Vande I mean one day metro train set will be introduced in this particular financial year. The coaches will be introduced this financial year. So you can note it down. Next, if you talk about the World Bank's logistic performance index, so we have improved from 44th in 2014 to 22nd in 2023. In the clean energy sector, we have seen investments increased. So in between 2014 to 2023, 8.5 lakh crore investments have come for the clean energy sector, and it's a very good thing for India's Panchamrit goals. Okay, attainment of the Panchamrit goals and the sustainable development goals. So, and the last chapter is related to climate change in India. So here we can see that it generally talks about the one size fits all approach. So this is not working. Okay, why? Because all the countries, developing countries, and if the developing countries and the developed countries, they are like going through this particular model, this is not a suitable model, because see, different countries have different requirements, and they have their own goals and ambitions, and this is why this one size fits approach is not this approach will not work as per the economic survey they are saying about this. Okay, and they are emphasizing on the mission life. So mission life is an important, you know, like in the COP26 Conference of Party to the UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which was held in Glasgow, Scotland. So you know, like we adopted the Panchamrit goals, so as well as we adopted the mission life. Okay, so lifestyle for environment. Life, the full form of life is lifestyle. LI means lifestyle, for F for E for environment. So this focuses more on the promoting mindful consumption, and it's also in line with, you can say, sustainable development goals, SDG. Goal number, you can say goal number 12, which talks about the sustainable consumption and production. Okay, so mission life is in alignment with SDG goal 12. So these were all which came in the survey today, and we'll later see the budget after the exam, because I'll be busy these days. Budget as well. Okay, budget as well. Okay, budget as well. Okay, till then keep well. Okay, till then keep well. Okay, till then keep studying, and this might be by my last video until the exam, and we'll meet on 30th July again. So till then keep studying, and all the best for your exams, and we'll meet again on 30th of July. So till then, take care and good night, and all the best to you, and give your best, and also I hope you'd pray for me, and we'll see again. And I'll also come with a discussion video on all the GS papers as well as the essays of APSC Mains 2023-24, and then we'll see about the cutoff marks and all, we'll discuss about them. Okay, thank you, good night.